Wanna shake up the status quo, rock the boat, break a few eggs?
Well, you've come to the right place. KaoticRadio.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Heel Talk Radio. Right now it is Cole Dawson talking, not doing the normal entrance. Usually you're used to hearing Jeff Maverick bring us in, but he is unable to be here tonight. He's got to work the normal 9 to 5. And so with me tonight, I have my good buddy, Ron Kilborn. Ron, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Cole. And, I was on the naughty list all year, and I'm proud to say I got my lump of coal a little bit early.
Yes, a 2-hour lump of coal. So Christmas time is here, and y'all ready for Christmas?
Oh, yes. I got all my shopping done. Black Friday was a little weak this year, and I think it's because it's a massive step up in the online department.
Oh, yeah, for
so
sure.
Everyone just stays home and doesn't want to go to war. And I like watching the wars. I like seeing what people go through to get a TV.
You want the South Park episode?
Absolutely.
To be real.
It's so funny. Like I go on Facebook, I see all these horror videos, but then I go outside and I go to my Black Friday and there's just nothing. Just a bunch of nice, classy people going,
waiting
hey.
in line patiently to get their stuff.
Yeah, it's your turn, sir.
I have a few friends that do the Black Friday shopping every year. They get like there's like two other couples. They get together and they get go to Target at 2 a.m. and wait and. Then they make out their list. I mean, they plan ahead. So they make out their list. You get these, I'll get these, I get these. And then so if it's like flat screen TVs, okay, you go get 4 flat screen TVs. I will go over to this department. So then they just go ready break, and the 6 of them go off to their little corners of the store, and they load up on their stuff and throw it together, and they get out of there by 8 o'clock, and they're home.
Yeah, you got these crazy soccer moms going all John Madden on a TV screen. All right, now you go down aisle 3, and I'm going to circle around and do a pattern to the cash register and get the TV over here.
That's awesome,
Yeah.
John Madden reference right there.
I know, from me of all people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was halfway considering doing a game with you tonight, calling football player or baseball player, and I was gonna be like Mike Trout.
I got that.
Yeah,
I know
you
that
got
one.
that one because
Yeah.
your dad has a massive man crush on Mike Trout. So
Yeah, absolutely. That's all he talks about.
Yeah.
That's probably the youngest hero he has.
I know.
Uh-huh.
It's a little. That's what the rules of being a creepy fan is, like, you can't wear a jersey of someone that's younger than you. Like that's where the line crosses from being creepy to being like,
Yeah.
So like I'm wearing a King Griffey Jr. jersey tonight, which is okay because he was in the major leagues when I was 8 years old. So actually I think 4 or 5 years old. So it's acceptable, but I can't be wearing a 20-year-old's jersey because I'm a 32-year-old man.
That's why you don't see me rushing to get any sort of new wrestler or wrestling shirts anymore.
Yeah, I it's funny. And the only wrestling shirts I really have are legend shirts. I have Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan. Oh, he's not listening. Oh well. Our producer back there.
Wait, I heard it. Wait, what happened? Hulk Hogan, woo!
No, that's Ric Flair.
Oh,
I got confused.
It's okay. Our producer back there is not necessarily a wrestling fan. The only guy he knows is Hulk Hogan. So every time we say his name, he feels like he can finally chime in and be a vocal part of the show. So we wait for it.
He knows who Stone Cold is.
Oh, probably. And that's what I was going to do with my game. I was like, I'm going to start with people that like everyone kind of knows, like Dan Marino. Like I figured King Griffey Jr. These are people that you would hear of in passing.
Oh, yeah. And I would
nothing else.
And they'd be the stupidest reasons why I know them to begin with. I'm like, oh, Dan Marino, the guy from Ace Ventura.
Exactly. Yeah. It's exactly why you know who
Yeah.
he is because of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, which we did that a few months ago. We talked about wrestlers in the movie. So that was that kind of thing. And oh man, there's a lot of fun cameos in movies. It's Christmas time. Has anyone got a Christmas movie out right now that's interesting?
There's Office Christmas Party, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, I haven't seen it.
No, I haven't seen it yet either.
It's funny. It came out the day my Christmas party at my work was supposed to happen.
Nice.
And then it didn't.
That movie came out and they're like, fuck this. We're not doing a Christmas party.
We can't top the movie version.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
Oh. Hi, Violet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it.
just for the laugh.
Violet is here in studio with it. Are you ready for Christmas, Violet?
Absolutely. I've been really excited for Christmas my whole entire life.
Your entire life. That's not what you told Santa. Now, what did you tell Santa Claus when you sat there and talked to him?
You've been to like
actually,
9 of them.
My favorite holiday.
Yeah, what did you tell Santa Claus your favorite holiday was?
Halloween.
That's right. My daughter, no fucks given, Violet Dawson.
Of course.
What
And I always try to make a laugh.
Yes. So what do you think you're getting for Christmas?
Well, I'm into a lot of arts and crafts, so basically art.
Art supplies. Cool,
Yeah.
cool.
But I also like Shopkins too.
So ways to mess up Dad's walls.
Fantastic.
Nope. No way, Jose.
All right. Thanks, Violet, for your contribution to the show tonight. Now you're going to be quiet, unlike your sister last week, and
Okay.
let the men talk, right?
I'll stay quiet.
Absolutely.
That was Violet, my middle daughter.
You know, Cole, you used to demolish your own house by having wrestling matches in the living room.
Yes, we did. That was pre-backyard wrestling days. We, we used to roll the
Indoor wrestling days.
mattresses out, and we used to drag them down the hallway from our rooms and lay them on the floor in our living room, and push the couches off to the side and have wrestling matches in our living room. That was we did that for few years, and then we rolled on into the backyard wrestling on a trampoline at first, and then I had a job when I was 18 making good money, and I had no bills, so I bought a professional wrestling ring and got some people to come train us. So and our my wonderful co-host is already texting and correcting me and whatnot.
Is he?
Yes. I'm sorry. It is our engineer backstage, not our producer. So I'll correct that so I don't get yelled at anymore.
That's adorable.
Did you get a chance to watch Roadblock? I tried. The network kept blocking me. I'd get 2 minutes of solid action, and then it would like network error, and then it would kick me back to the beginning, and I'd have to fast forward. So I got through the tag team match, which was fantastic, and I thought the finish was really good.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting. I thought it was kind of a cheap way to end a 400 and however many day tag title reign. But what did you think of that match? And then what did you think of the pay-per-view? You can do like Jeff always does and tell me what happened, and I can be like, stupid. That's dumb.
It's actually, I was going to say, I was like, well, I'm actually proud that that you weren't able to watch it as opposed to I tried to watch it, but it's WWE.
No, it wasn't that. I was good. The first match was good, and then Sami Zayn was coming out for the second match, and it was like error, you don't get to watch, and I'm like, okay.
Oh, bummer.
I mean, I tried on 2 different occasions, like to actually watch this. It wasn't a disappointment but I heard it was basically a glorified episode of Monday Night Raw.
It was. I called it the Raw episode where all the matches got time.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, it's the pay-per-view was 3 hours, and so is Raw, and like figure that one out.
Yeah, it's pretty much, it's Raw with, uninterrupted is really.
Yeah, like going back to that whole like 3 hour thing. Like, what's the deal with the whole giving the cruiserweights their own show? I thought like the cruiserweights going to Raw was going to be an excellent business plan, considering they need an hour of stuff to fill up, other than just talking crap and doing segments.
Yeah, but they're never going to put 3 hours of wrestling on their show.
Oh,
it's
but
going
not
to be
3 hours of wrestling. Just just don't do 2 hours of talking and segments.
Oh, but that's what's going to always happen. That's the formula, and until someone proves that they can do better with something else, that's what it's going to be. And as long as the ratings kind of reflect that they'd rather watch John Cena talk than Antonio Cesaro wrestle, that's what they're going to do, you know? And so, I mean, it is what it is, but
whatever pulls in that dough.
But I think kind of the reason for the cruiserweights failing is that they tabbed the wrong person to be their first cruiserweight champion, and it set them up for failure. And after a month of just no ratings whatsoever on Raw, they said, "Oh, let's just put it back on the network because that's where it belongs." You can't kill the ratings. You kill the ratings, you're not going to have time on air. So
that's true.
But did they have a cruiserweight match on this pay-per-view?
They did. It was Rich Swann versus T.J. Perkins versus Brian Kendrick.
Oh, so they had the 3-way.
Yeah, and that was delightful. I thought it was like the second the match of the night. Other than I thought the tag match was just like
it was show fantastic. Stealer. Yeah,
like. I don't know how many would agree, but I thought so. Like, I thought it had the most interesting ending, good build. I like the rub that they're giving Sheamus and Cesaro.
Yeah. No, yeah, I thought it was really cool that they did a false tag. That was really awesome. That what for those that didn't get to watch it, Sheamus was down in the ring and he's crawling over to tag Cesaro, and Cesaro sticks his hand out, and when Sheamus goes to tag him, he pulls his hand back and doesn't tag in, but fakes out the other guy in the ring like he did tag in, and comes in and takes a bump off him so that Sheamus can come and steal the win. And I thought it was a great idea for a tag match to win a tag match, but to end a year-and-a-half title reign on that is kind of cheap. Like, I thought, especially since they've been getting a lot of traction out of this gimmick.
I thought they would at least go. We're approaching Mania. It's the longest tag team title reign ever.
Yeah.
At least let them drop it there.
Well, I don't know what they have in store, so it is what it is. But
I mean, it's kind of like what they did with the Miz. They had Miz drop that IC title for Ziggler's final try at a push, and if that failed, and then they just put it right back on Miz.
Yeah, and I just
how many chances are they gonna give that guy?
I don't understand their booking. I just it just doesn't make sense.
They must love him a lot.
Who, Miz? Or?
No, Ziggler. No, the Miz.
Ziggler?
The Miz has taken the ball and ran with it. He's finally. I don't know how he dug himself out of the hole he put himself in after his WrestleMania main event, because I never thought he was going to come back. But now he's interesting, and he's on TV all the time, and I think the IC title should stay on him for a while.
Well, it'd be nice. It seems at times like that's the way they're going, where it's going to be like they're leaning towards giving guys real title reigns and letting them wrestle and focusing on the product in the ring, and then they shit all over it. It's like they're taking a step to because Survivor Series was a fantastic pay-per-view. It was genuinely entertaining. It was one of the best pay-per-views I've seen in a long time.
I liked the Goldberg-Brock match.
Yeah.
A lot.
Great booking across the board. Well, here's my thing about Goldberg and Brock. I liked it. It was great. It was a shock. It was kind of a throwback to an old WCW pay-per-view, really, is
Absolutely,
what it was.
Yeah.
But if that's the only time we're going to see Goldberg ever again, it's stupid and it sucks and I hate it.
And it's not, right?
I hope not.
It's already been booked. The first two entrants of the Royal Rumble are Brock Lesnar and Goldberg.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
Well, so they already dropped the ball on Royal Rumble, because if I was booking Royal Rumble, my first entrance would be Shinsuke Nakamura. He would win the entire thing, and then he would wrestle Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, but that's me. So.
I literally had this exact conversation with somebody at a show. I was like, if I was going to fantasy book Shinsuke Nakamura's debut, because I'm kind of worried about about him coming up, only because I know how much I love him and how great he is.
And how much every fan who sees him loves him, and how it's Vince.
Exactly. It's Vince that I'm worried about, and it's the children will love him. It's just Vince that I'm worried about. So I'm thinking the only way that they can just get everyone behind him instantly is by he has the first entrance, he's number one in the Royal Rumble, just so we can have that entrance.
Yes, exactly.
And then he lasts the whole time, and maybe he wins or he doesn't win. But I think just entrant number one lasts the whole time. He's solidified. Depending on who he's last two with, he can feud with it up until whenever, and then have a match at WrestleMania, but maybe not the championship match, because I don't want him to be cursed by the immediate push. Because I love him so much.
I don't think the curse of the immediate push happens when you give it to guys like Roman Reigns and John Cena and Jeff Hardy, who aren't main eventers or aren't main event ready at the time they get the push to the moon. Shinsuke Nakamura is the best professional wrestler on the planet, period.
I agree.
It's really not close. There's really not a close second. And it's more than just his in-ring. Everything he does from the time his music hits until the match, until he leaves the ring and the screen goes dark, is the most entertaining thing on
the show,
on TV, period. At least as pertains to wrestling. Knock it off. All right, so if it's me, I have no concerns about pushing him to the moon yesterday.
Yeah.
So if
2
for
years
me,
ago.
yeah, well, exactly. For me, letting him win the Rumble and winning the title at Mania, to me, that's the biggest splash you can make. Wow, this guy that we're seeing for the first time ever won the Royal Rumble. That would be something that would actually be out of the box and, would actually be genuinely surprising. People are going to shit themselves when he comes out in the Rumble.
Period.
But if he actually won it, how over would that be with not only the internet wrestling community, but just the regular fans going, holy shit, who is this guy? I need to see him. And then when you put him in the ring with Jericho and AJ Styles and whoever you're going to put him in the ring with for the next few months leading up to WrestleMania, you just make him look like a world beater. And then when he wins the title at Mania, it's going to be the biggest thing ever. And it actually makes sense. It'd be great, but will they do that? Absolutely not.
Well, time will tell. Yeah, his WrestleMania match, period, whenever it happens, is going to be outstanding. I'm just hoping he goes against Bobby Roode because it's going to be the battle of the entrances.
Well, I think that's what they're kind of doing at NXT right now.
Yeah,
so
they are.
good.
That just happened. Shinsuke and Bobby Roode will be happening at San Antonio. And also, since we're fantasy booking Royal Rumble, aren't you a little tickled that Royal Rumble's happening in San Antonio? And they just love to give us those surprise Royal Rumble entrances.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Damn it.
I wish.
I hope.
It would be cool. It would be cool for one night only to have the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, in the Royal Rumble and just like literally super kick everybody. Like, let it be one of those lulls in the Rumble. Like you have the first 6 or 7 guys where it's a bunch of big stuff, and then like 6 through 13 is a whole lot of nothing, maybe even like 16, 17, 18, and then all of a sudden Shawn comes out and just super kicks like 18 people in a row and throws out like 6 people and just like goes crazy, and then like Brock Lesnar F5s him and throw like that. Or Goldberg and Shawn face off in the Royal Rumble match. now we're talking.
He just gets eaten, though.
That would be amazing.
That would be amazing. That would be a nice little face-off. But, after coming off of what Goldberg just did to Brock, Shawn just doesn't stand a chance.
Oh, exactly. And since you're building Goldberg as a giant killer, really, because, Cena had trouble. Everyone's had trouble with Brock Lesnar. He beat The Undertaker at freaking WrestleMania. Yeah,
this new evolution of how they're booking Brock Lesnar as like the boss level. He's like the WWE boss level. And just for him to just get squashed by Goldberg like that is only going to bring a lot of variety to these two monsters in the Royal Rumble. Because I don't know if they're pushing them to another match at Mania. I don't know why. It's already 2-0. I just think they're going to have their clash at Royal Rumble, and then the both of them are going to have separate deals at Mania.
Yes, well, I think something's going to happen in that to set them up for a real match at WrestleMania. Like, okay, because how often do you buy a boxing pay-per-view or a UFC pay-per-view and the main event is a 12-second knockout, right? Like Conor McGregor and when he fought Jose Aldo, who hadn't lost in like 20 years, and he's in the ring and one punch knockout in 14 seconds.
Over.
So, you could see that Brock they set it up. He was kind of taking Goldberg lightly in the thing, and Goldberg caught him off guard, and he got knocked out.
And the way they're having Heyman selling Brock Lesnar right now is like, can you imagine what Brock Lesnar, who's on the hunt's gonna do? Like,
exactly. Exactly. So they'll be able to do it.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like maybe if they're 1 and 2 in the Rumble, it might be a throwaway. It could end up being just a total throwaway. Or, it could be one of those where they have them 1 and 2, and then they just burn the first 5 guys in the Rumble. They have them come out and get their ass kicked by them, and they're just throwing guys out so they can keep fighting. So, there's a lot they can do with it and make it interesting.
I wonder what the whole Rumble scenario is going to be this year, considering they just did the brand split.
I'm sure it'll be you get to choose your champion like it was back in the good old days.
Since the women have stepped up dramatically, I kind of hope they get a Royal Rumble. Kind of make their title a little more important.
I don't think that the talent pool of women that they have in the company is big enough for that. Maybe next year they can have a mini women's Rumble, maybe on Raw, maybe not as part of the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. But that would be a great idea. That's
at least
a really
pre-show
good idea.
Toy with it.
It'd be a good thing to throw out. You could do it. I was actually talking to Shane today. He saw my brother Shane. He watched a little documentary about how the Royal Rumble came to be to begin with.
Oh, really? I had not heard of that.
Yeah, it was really cool. And basically, what happened was, someone was looking for a new pay-per-view. Like they wanted a new pay-per-view out of WWF at the time, And they went to Vince and they said, hey, if you got a new idea, you got anything, because at that time they just had WrestleMania and Survivor Series. And so WrestleMania was its own thing. And then Survivor Series was a completely unique, different format, which, just while we're on tangents, so the reason Survivor Series happened was because Starrcade was supposed to happen, and it was supposed to have pay-per-view, and Vince didn't want them to have pay-per-view, so he came up with his own idea. So for Survivor Series, said, hey, you're going to put my show on because WrestleMania 3 just broke the box office, and if you guys don't put Survivor Series on and kick Crockett off, then you're not getting WrestleMania next year. And so he basically just cock-blocked NWA hard and said, no, Starrcade, that's not a thing. And what is you doing, Violet? And so back to Royal Rumble, Pat Patterson came up with the idea for Royal Rumble, and he was talking about, he was pitching this idea hard. He's like, Vince, hey, Vince, we got, we do these battle royals at all these house shows and all these, and everything, and they're fun, but it's, everyone's in the ring and they just start all at the same time, and maybe we should do this gimmick where we start with 2 guys and then every 2 minutes a new person comes out. And Vince goes, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, Pat. This is never going to work. We're not doing that. He said, no, come on, let's just try it out. And so they were kind of doing it on house shows here and there, just to get everyone on the card, really was what it was. It was just a throw-in match so everyone got paid, got work, and got paid. And then NBC, Dick Ebersol came up and said, hey, Vince, we'd like to do a WWF special. Do you have something new, something interesting that we can put on there? And he goes, shit, I don't have any ideas. Like, hey, Pat, tell him about your dumb idea. And Pat Patterson pitches it, and the guy goes, oh, that's great. I like it. Let's do that. And then the first ever Royal Rumble was an NBC special. Hacksaw Jim Duggan won. It was only 20 guys in that Royal Rumble, but then it was a big hit. It got over, and so he said, okay, Pat, we'll make it a pay-per-view. So it just kind of happened by accident. But just another great Pat Patterson idea.
What a great accident, because
really
it's seriously my second favorite pay-per-view of the year.
Well, yeah, because it's always had the kind of, the winner gets to go to WrestleMania, and so once they made it a big deal even if you're, because we were kids when we were watching it, it meant something right there. You got a title match, and it was hard to get a title match back then, and the title didn't change hands every other week on Monday Night Raw either.
Or every other WrestleMania.
Yeah, that was
awesome.
Back in the Hogan days.
And, I lost my train of thought. But what I was going to say about the Royal Rumble is that, especially nowadays with the storytelling being, so lost, nowadays, there's no longevity of stories, no long stories being told. At least when Royal Rumble comes around, at least we're guaranteed a 3-month story.
Yeah, exactly, which is nice.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, a good storyline pops up. I think kind of by accident, as much as they didn't want it to happen, Daniel Bryan's storyline was really the last great booking they did in WWE, because they had to make it last. It lasted a year and a half, basically because they just refused to accept that he was the guy, and that's who the fans wanted, and all the fans wanted him, not just the smart marks that click on the internet, but all the fans wanted him. And it finally got so over that they just couldn't deny him anymore, so they finally said, okay, we're going to put this in motion. And then that's when they had the, Triple H and Steph became the big bad guys again, and they were trying to keep him down, and he had months of winning the title, but not winning the title because they kept, cock blocking it. But
that was a great story told, and it lasted months and months. And it's funny because the real version of the story lasted the day he walked in.
Yeah,
and then they just told a short version, an 8-month version of it when the storyline happened.
I mean, the real story started, 10 years before they signed him, because he was the best wrestler on the planet for years and years at Ring of Honor and PWG and Japan, and everyone knew he was the best guy, and they just refused to sign him or not sign him, and they finally did, and then they were like, okay, we'll put him on Tough Enough and just appease the fans, and he was the best thing on Tough Enough, and he still
the first NXT, yeah.
Oh yeah, NXT, that's right.
Back when it was a game show.
Yes, when it was a game show.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the best thing on there by far, and he got over. And I think we should all thank Michael Cole, like really, because without Michael Cole being so vehemently against Daniel Bryan, calling him a bush leaguer and all that stuff, and actually giving the fans a reason to support him and get behind him, he never would have got his break.
Yeah.
I think he probably, if Michael Cole didn't do that so hard, he would have done NXT and he would have disappeared and been back on the indies. But since he got so over with Michael Cole, it was like, we got a storyline. All right, let's do it.
Yeah, and plus they gave him Miz as his coach, so that's already like, oh, we care about this guy immediately. He's got to deal with the Miz, and Michael Cole hates him.
Yeah, they kind of stacked the deck against him, so I was glad it worked out. And man, I just wish he was healthy, because we're,
healthy by their standards.
Well, healthy by any standard. I mean, he's got some brain damage. That's whether it's WWE just being extra cautious, or he legitimately went to a second doctor and he said the same thing and he went okay and accepted it. Yeah. It's his brain. He's gonna have kids and everything, and I don't blame him one bit.
And plus, you never know. You never know what can happen medically. He still looks like he's keeping up with his shape. We all thought Shawn Michaels was never coming back after '98. Look what happened in 2002, and nobody thought that was happening. And when it happened, it happened, and it was shocking.
Amazing,
and
too.
Then look at that career he had afterwards. So you just never know. Like, I'm sad he's gone, but I'm just gonna say you never know. You never know. And like the what they're doing with Miz and him right now, where Miz is just basically doing all of his moves, it's just making me think like, oh my God, are they toying with us?
Yeah.
Because now I'm just thinking like, 2 years from now, this could happen.
Or at WrestleMania.
At this one, like they're keeping that under wraps. I mean, you never know, because in a day where kayfabe is pretty much underground.
Oh yeah.
You don't know what great lengths they're gonna do. They're gonna go to keep something secret. Like I don't know if you watched the Seth Rollins special when he was injured and like his little comeback, but they were talking about how great lengths they went to keep his return a secret.
Yeah.
And he might as well be the president. How they were hiding him.
Well, that's another thing Shane was talking about in this Royal Rumble documentary. They were talking about when like Bubba Ray, they interviewed him talking about his return. And it still got out on the internet that he was at least there and there was a possibility he was going to be on. But he talked about it. He said, they flew me in so that I landed after the show started. They sent a blackout limo to the airport to pick me up. They pulled up between buses so nobody could see. I jumped straight into the bus with blackout windows, and I had to wait in that bus until 5 minutes before my entrance. And then they threw one of the Undertaker robes on me so that I had to like cover my head and everything. And it's like, even at the airport, he said they told me I needed to wear a hoodie and sunglasses and all that stuff. So like, they're trying everything they can to keep this out of the internet. Because
they're doing everything they can to keep secrecy.
Yeah, and it's just almost impossible in
is.
this day and age to even do it. But it's great. They did it with Sting. When Sting showed up on Raw for the first time, it was like total what?
Yeah.
Because Sting will accept that. It's one of those, I'm sure somebody texted their friend or whoever, and then their friends told the wrong people, and it's one of those you can't tell anybody. You can't even tell your family, really, if you're going to be on, and expect it to be a secret if you're a big deal. Like, if you're, an indie guy who's going there, it's fine. You tell people. But
yeah, tell people. They have last match send-offs now.
Yeah, fantastic. So, we got together, Ron and I, and we decided trying to figure out what we were going to talk about this week. I think we've reached the limit of our BSing for the night, and
you might have too.
Yeah, Ron and I both spent many a year in the wrestling business, around wrestling here and there. Ron is still actively wrestling, and I'm not going to say I'm not actively wrestling. It's just I don't get phone calls at this point in my life, so I guess I don't have anywhere to be. But both of us at one point in our career were over 400 pounds.
Over 500
yeah,
pounds.
over 500 pounds and still actively wrestling. So we figured tonight we would discuss the topic of super heavyweights. And so we didn't just stop at fat guys. We also decided that anyone over 6'9" enters the category of super heavyweights. Guys over 350 pounds, 400 pounds, monsters that got the big monster push. Basically all the guys that wrestled Hulk Hogan back in the 80s that they just kept cycling through. And we were pretty excited about it because I got to tell you, one of my all-time favorite super heavyweights is the person sitting across from me right now, Ronald. He's was really fantastic in his time. If you guys haven't had a chance to see Ron wrestle, you should get out there. So I don't know how much longer he's going to be at it since he's becoming a family man now and all that. But I mean, for his size, the way he moved, it's like some of these great guys are going to be talking tonight. It wasn't just like, hey, I'm fat and you can't do anything. No, you worked really hard, and I was glad to be his tag team partner on several occasions throughout our careers. First under a hood as bad guys, and then as over-the-top good guys later on in life. But I also wanted to just, while we're on the subject of being massively overweight, I would like to just shout out to Ron because he was actually my inspiration for doing something about my weight and losing some weight, and I lost about 120 pounds at one point, and maybe put on a few back. But go ahead and talk about just a little bit about your weight loss, because I think it is good to talk about. It's good for people to hear. It might inspire somebody. And if you guys do want to reach out, you hit us up on Facebook, Ron Garippo, Cole Dawson, find us, and we're more than happy to talk about our weight loss struggles with you and help you out. So Ron, go ahead and tell us a little bit about your journey.
Well, first, let me just say that you're adorable for everything you said, and here's that $100 I owed you for saying all of it. Hey, don't you laugh. But yeah, as I told Jeff when I first came onto this show, the weight loss was like a big game changer in my life. Like, it made me want to go back to wrestling just to see what the smaller version of Ron can do. Yeah. As I was, like you said, just a super heavyweight. And I did super heavyweight things, but now when I came back, I was a smaller package, still a fat guy, definitely, but I can do more. I can do things that make sense. So that was kind of cool. But even though I was still bigger, I would do things that wouldn't make sense, but I would do it just because I could.
Well, I think the best thing is that my sister has told you that sense doesn't matter anymore in professional wrestling.
It really doesn't.
And you can do whatever you want now.
And I'm sorry, but if a 7 foot, 500 pound guy can moonsault, he should do it every match.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And so basically, but you lost over 300 pounds, right? So basically, you lost an entire morbidly obese man.
Yeah, I lost.
What we're saying.
Yeah, I lost a Bubba Ray.
Yeah.
Legit. If I was giving Bubba Ray Dudley a piggyback ride one day, he was just like, I'm going to get off. That's basically what happened within 2 years. That's basically what happened. But yeah, like you said, us being in the super heavyweight division for so long kind of like inspired us to have this discussion today.
Yeah. And
I took some notes. I thought of. I thought of all the big guys that I looked up to or were fans of. And what did we decide to do today? We wanted to do a top 10.
Oh, yeah. We are going to be giving you throughout the after the break, we'll get into our top 10 super heavyweights of all time. But the first thing that's going to happen, obviously, whenever you have a super heavyweight discussion, is everyone's going to go, oh, you mean all the super awful fat guys that can't move? So let's start there.
Hush now.
Let's start with the really, really terrible guys and get them out of the way so that we can get into some of the guys who were magical at a much bigger weight. And I think right off the bat, my first guy who is just the worst I've ever seen is Nathan Jones.
Oh yeah. That is just I bet you he walks into a room and everyone just saw money, but like nobody, but nobody thought of like how to use that money.
Yeah, maybe we should teach him how to wrestle first.
Yeah. I mean, he looks delightful.
Yeah, he looks like $1 million, and you're just sitting there thinking like, I could book the crap out of this guy, and then he like trips on his way getting into the ring, and you're like, oh man.
Yeah.
And then he gets in the ring and it gets worse somehow.
Yeah, you're bad when you get a cold, when they cold feet not book you at WrestleMania.
Yeah, when they won't even send you to the ring with the Undertaker.
No.
You're pretty god awful.
Yeah, who can carry a match with your daughter.
Yeah.
And just Yeah, I don't know how bad you could possibly be to not get that, to not be in a tag match with The Undertaker.
Now, he was just a big clumsy dude. On the other side of that, there's a couple guys like Uncle Elmer, who was just a 600-pound dude in overalls. He was with Hillbilly Jim, who's another big giant guy who stunk really bad. Mm-hmm. It's like who comes to mind when I say like just god awful super heavyweight?
Oh man, god awful super heavyweight. Man, it's almost a little unfair just because he's so awesome looking, but great Khali.
Yeah, he's on my list.
Yeah, okay, yeah, he's on your list of top 10?
Oh no, I did a worst list as well.
Okay.
Because I knew that we have to talk about this. Like, we can't just pretend like all heavyweight wrestlers were great. Like, because a lot of them were big, clumsy, dumb, awful, terrible people.
Oh yeah.
And the Great Khali is one of them.
I tried to at least get my top 10 to have, like, they at least had to have work rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had to be able to have a good match at some point in your career.
You can't be just large. So if we're going to go just large and useless, Giant Gonzalez.
Yep, he's on my list as well.
Like, you had... like, he was just an outfit to me.
Yeah.
He was
a cool-looking outfit as a kid.
Yeah.
And this was kind of like they had gone from Undertaker to... for Hulk Hogan to Undertaker, they did the same thing with Undertaker that they were, doing, and they just found the biggest guy they could. But Undertaker is legit 6'11", and so they had to find guys bigger than him. And how the hell do you find guys bigger than 7-foot giants?
That is a mystery. Let's see, who else would be that list of the worst.
Jeff says Haystacks Calhoun, another just god awful.
Yeah,
yeah.
When I was at my heaviest, that was my comparison by a lot of people.
Yeah. Oh, you look like Haystacks.
Oh yeah.
That's not a comparison you want.
No. Yeah. and like once I got smartened up to that guy, I was like, hopefully you're just saying appearance.
The last guy I had on my god awful list, and a lot of this, I know at one point he had a little bit better gimmick and he was okay like in his WCW run, but Bastion Booger has to be the most god awful. Maybe Mantar, like those are like the worst things WWE ever did. Yeah, Shockmaster, but Shockmaster did have a successful career before Shockmaster, so I'm not going to hate on Tugboat too much.
So Tugboat had a nice career. But
yeah,
Shockmaster
Tugboat.
didn't.
Yeah, Shockmaster not so much.
Oh man.
But yeah, I mean, heavyweight wrestling, especially the super heavyweights, it's one of the things I really do like about professional wrestling is that you get such a wide variety of entertainers. Mm-hmm. Like it's not just athletic, good-looking guys out there. Like you get the Bam Bam Bigelows and Vaders and these big giant dudes that nobody should be able to beat, but you beat them with athleticism and speed and quickness and brains and all that kind of stuff. And it's my favorite thing about wrestling is there's so many stories to be told in a match. I mean, like Rey Mysterio when he was in WCW was all of 150 pounds. Like he was really small in WCW, and he went over. I think he beat Kevin Nash in a match. Did he not?
Oh yeah, I'm
pretty sure. And
I at least win against him.
and so when you go from 5'2", 150 pounds to beating a 7-foot giant like Kevin Nash, who's built like a brick shithouse, like there's some interesting storytelling there. And so what were some of the challenges that you found when you were that size back when you were wrestling? Trying to wrestle skinny guys.
See, this is an argument that I get into with a lot of guys who are like, strictly like luchadors, flippy guys, like cruiserweights. Yeah. Like they think that type of wrestling is boring. And I was like, well, in a lot of ways, it takes a little more talent to do what they do than what you do because they're confined in their body to not be able to do all the crazy flips you do. But they have to make it believable. They have to stand there and act around all your shenanigans. They have to stand there and lay their stuff, and they have to make everything look real. You, like the cruiserweights, all those guys, their flips, their acrobatics is impressive. I'm in awe by it.
Oh, yeah.
But, they can just do that, and, and there's risk involved, but, they don't make the audience care with that.
Yeah.
They just make them go, ooh, ah.
Not all the time.
Yeah, that's just, ooh, ah, and that's the 2 seconds the move lasts.
Yeah, it's like watching a fireworks show.
Yeah, exactly.
Fireworks shows are great. You get the grand finale. It's cool. But when it's all over, it's like, fireworks. I've seen fireworks. We're good.
You don't talk about it.
So. Oh, we need to go to a break. Our engineer's back here trying to kill me. So we're going to get into our top 10 list once we get after the break. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Heel Talk Radio on KaoticRadio.com.
When the normal BS just won't do. KaoticRadio.com.
And there we go. This music is fantastic. It got definitely one of the highlights from NXT when we were there.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, man, fantastic. I mean, to see that. I mean, I see it all the time. It's not it's not necessarily normal for people to be in a giant crowd of 1,000 people or so, all singing at the same time, which is fantastic. I mean, I do it all the time. When one of the stories I like to tell people, it's I sing in barbershop quartets and choruses, and one of the best things of the year for me is going to the International Barbershop Contest, where we have about 7,000 or 8,000 people in an arena. We usually do an arena that holds 12 to 15,000 people, and there are points throughout the week when they have the whole audience stand up and sing together. And one of the highlights every year is on Saturday night is the Barbershop Quartet Finals. So it's just the top 10 quartets that qualified throughout the week. And so literally everybody that's there is in the audience, in the building watching. And one of the things they do, because there's like 8 to 10 shows. I think there's 10 shows throughout the week. There's a college, or well, it's not college anymore. There's a youth barbershop quartet contest. There's the top 50, top 20, and top 10 quartets, and they whittle them down throughout the week. And then there's the chorus contest, and it's 2 parts on Friday. Well, on Saturday, everyone's actually in the building because they're not backstage warming up or rehearsing or everything. Everything's done except for the finals. And what they do throughout the week is at the beginning of the shows, they have different national anthems sung. And so, like, you have the British national anthem, one of their choruses will come up and sing, or their quartets, or small groups from these countries that are all represented in the international contest. Well, on Saturday night, they save the Canadian and the American national anthem for Saturday night. They don't have a special guest performance. The performing group is the audience. And so 8,000 people stand up and sing the Canadian national anthem and the American national anthem in 4-part harmony. And it's in just talking about it right now, like, I get goosebumps. But like, being a part of that every year is one of the highlights of it for me. So I kind of got a little giddy whenever I'm in a group of people standing up and singing. It's not barbershop, so it makes for a happy day. Like, literally, when I see 4 guys standing around in a circle, I'm like always hoping they're just gonna break into spontaneous song, and it never happens outside of barbershop. But
yeah, it's that part in a movie where, like, all guys, a bunch of guys are getting drunk, and they're all just like, holding arms and just singing a song together.
yes, and that's what we do, and that's basically what barbershop is in a nutshell. We all go and do our show or our contest or whatever it is, and then everyone goes and gets shit-faced, and we just sing until literally the cops come or they kick us out of the hotel or wherever we're at. But I mean, we warn the hotel in advance, and we sign a contract with them so that we let them know this is going to be happening.
Yeah.
But still, when we were in Nashville this last year, they did call the cops at the hotel. Like, the room people in the rooms finally got tired of us at 4 a.m. screaming songs at the top of our lungs, and they called the cops, and they came down to the hotel, and they're like, come on guys, you got to get out of the lobby.
Hey, you better hide your kids and hide your wife when the barbershop quartet comes to town.
Oh yes. So let's get into our top 10 list a little bit.
Top 10. Now, so how do you want to do this? Do you want to, like, you do your number 10, I do my number 10, or do you want to do 10 through 1 you, 10 through 1 me?
What we usually do is we take turns, and we each give our 10, and we have a little discussion in between, and we get towards the end.
Oh, so a nice juicy cluster.
Yeah,
I love it.
Exactly. So we'll do it together. And since I'm in the host chair this week, it's usually Jeff. He usually lets me go first, but I'm in the host chair, so I get to save me the best for last. And Ronald, your number 10 super heavyweight wrestler of all time.
All right. I'm going to come right out of the gate with a bit of a classic. Actually, a very, very big classic. Shinsuke Nakamura. No, that's not true, Violet. Not even close.
No, really, really big guys, Violet.
Yeah,
really,
giant
really
guys.
Big guys. Bigger than me and Ron, not Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah, so right out of the gate, number 10, Gorilla Monsoon.
Gorilla Monsoon. I'm glad you brought him up. He's on my alternate list here.
He's on your alternate list.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I have 42 people on my top 10 list. This is the way this goes. Like, I write everyone down because I want to make sure we mention the honorable mention guys. Like, I'm sure that we're going to have different guys, and I'm glad you started out with Gorilla because he was close to my list. He was right there. He's right down on my next line of guys. And it's fantastic, but like, a lot of people haven't seen him wrestle so much. Like, you have to dig to find some Gorilla Monsoon.
Yeah.
But outside of wrestling, for what he did in the broadcast booth, you got to give him his props.
And that played a huge role into why he's on this list to begin with. Yes, he was a big guy wrestler. Yes, it was before my time and most of the listeners' time.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that what he did that. Back then, he wrestled Muhammad Ali back in the 60s.
He did.
When Muhammad Ali was like gigantic.
Yes.
So like that's a big deal. Just because we weren't around to see it doesn't mean it didn't happen. Doesn't mean he shouldn't be on this list. And plus,
absolutely.
he was like one of the original giant villains. Even though
Yes,
we
he
know him
was.
today as the cuddly Barney behind the microphone,
yeah.
that just wanted Bobby Heenan to stop, and
Oh, would you stop it?
yeah, and I loved Gorilla Monsoon mostly because of his commentary, but I have to give him props for what he contributed to the business as the big giant guy back in the day. So yeah, he's my number 10. Now, am I continuing or you?
No. We're gonna go 10, 10, 10. We're gonna
Let's
go
do
back
it.
and forth.
10,
This is a little game of
10,
tennis right here.
10,
10, 10, 10, 10.
10.
Oh, good job, Violet. Thanks for contributing. You're an all-star. So my number 10, I didn't go with classic, but I went with a little bit lesser known guy. But he was a big, huge hit in the territory days, and he was the guy that made the rounds. He just basically went territory to territory. They gave him his little push because he was a monster everywhere he went, and he drew houses. And they just sent him over there, and they made him a big monster and let him bloody guys up all the time. I went with Abdullah the Butcher as my number 10 because he was kind of one of the American pioneers for hardcore wrestling and what we know today as hardcore wrestling. But back in the in the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s and 2000s when he was doing this, he was just a crazy wild man. And when he first started, it's funny, he looked like Under Pressure when he first started. I don't know if you've seen an old picture, but from the 70s on, he was a 350, 500 or 400 pound guy. And he still moved well, but I wouldn't exactly call him a ring technician.
No, I wouldn't call him a ring technician either. But especially for his time and for his style, you gotta put yourself in the shoes of a fan back then because there's no peeking behind the curtain back then. So what you saw, you thought that was that person. Yeah. That is a monster. That is scary. I do not want any part of that guy.
Yeah, and he's pulling weapons out of his fat folds and elbow pads and
he's
knee pads.
forking people in the face. I think that was his finisher. He just stabbed people in the face with a fork.
Well, he would do the stab, but he did the old dusty elbow. That was his big finisher.
Oh, okay.
The old dusty elbow. And so, yeah. I mean, I love Abdullah the Butcher. I have best of Abdullah the Butcher stuff, and he may be the only wrestler in my best of world that maybe I've never seen do a wrestling move ever.
No.
But I love watching him. He's entertaining as hell. I will take it. I take it back. I saw him have an awesome wrestling match one time with Manny Fernandez of all people. He's taking monkey flip bumps. I mean, he bumped his butt off for Manny Fernandez, and it was a work rate match. And I was really impressed. Like that was the match that took me from like, oh, okay, he does hardcore to like, oh no, Abby's like something special. He's really good. He's not just a character. Like he could go if he needed to, but he doesn't need to, and so he didn't always go.
No,
So,
yeah, that's the beauty part of a guy like Abby. He's just so awesome looking. He doesn't have to do much, but then he still gave us a lot.
oh yeah, I think we're off to a fantastic start right here.
Yeah, I love these two complete opposites of the spectrum, which is really good.
Yes, true. So you're number 9.
Number 9, I'm gonna go with Yokozuna.
Nice.
Yokozuna.
Very nice.
Yokozuna had a very dominant first couple years in WWE, and even after his fall off the pedestal, he was still one of those guys that even though you were already made a star, if you beat him, it still elevated you.
Oh yeah.
Bret Hart and Hulk Hogan were already Bret Hart and Hulk Hogan, but but when they both beat Yokozuna, they were something even bigger.
Oh
than
yeah, it took him to another level.
Yeah, Yokozuna just has that look and just for him being that size and how he can move.
Oh yeah,
like because there's guys where you can see the percentage, they're muscle fat, but you can tell that dude was like mostly fat, but still like getting his ass off.
Yeah, that
off
leg
the ground.
drop was insane.
Yeah, and like I'm told it's like the lightest because I got guys that are watching it like it's the lightest leg drop in the world. It's all cushion. Like unless he just goes a centimeter off.
Sure.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So Yokozuna played a big role in the heavyweights, and he got a couple WrestleMania main events out of him.
Well, WrestleMania main events, and then he had a good tag team run with Owen Hart that I think is a little bit underrated. It doesn't get the respect that it's due. They were a really good tag team.
Yeah, they got over.
Perfect heel tag team too, because you got Owen who can bump and feed for everybody, but then because this is back towards the late 80s, 90s, they still were doing the style where the baby faces would take the first 5 minutes of a tag match, and they'd out wrestle guys. So you have Owen, who's a bit of a comedic wrestler as well as being a fantastic in-ring guy, bumping his ass off for these guys, and then he'd tag in Yoko, and fun's over, guys. Okay, we're going to kick your ass for the next 15 minutes now. And then, when Yoko did get beat in the tag team, you have him there. This guy weighs 600 pounds legitimately. It's a huge deal to just knock him off his feet, but to pin him, the dominant run he had, I mean, they fed him Hacksaw and Randy Savage and guys like that, and he had a really good run. I'm glad you have. And we're gonna have some overrun. He might be appearing on my list, maybe a little higher than you had him, but this is the first guy we're gonna have some overlap on. But
that's fine.
My number 9, I went with another kind of territory guy. Back in the day, this guy for me he's on my list because for me he was kind of the predecessor to Chris Benoit style. Like he was in that but he was a giant heavyweight, and he had that intense, crazy Dynamite Kid, Shinsuke Nakamura style. Bruiser Brody, dude could work. He was fantastic, and it led off to an offshoot gimmick. In WWE they had the Berserker, but I mean, just dude was entertaining as hell and was a good worker when he wanted to be. He wanted to be. There was a lot of. I mean, there's a reason he ended up having an untimely, accidental bleeding out. Nobody stabbed him apparently in a shower in Puerto Rico, but. When he wanted to be there, he was as good as anybody, and he had some great matches with Flair, and just fantastic, and over everywhere he went, all over the world. Just, I don't know. Have you seen much Bruiser Brody?
Not a lot, not too much actually, but definitely a scary looking man.
Yes, yeah, scary, and that's it. I mean, this is a dude that looks like $1 million, but usually it doesn't always work out when the guy looks like $1 million. He actually can back it up, and he can go. And Bruiser Brody was one of the first really super heavyweight guys that actually had something in the tank to go along with his giant physique, and so. That'll bring us to our number 8 selections. Your number 8?
My number 8 is Mr. Glenn Jacobs, Mr. Isaac Yankem, better known as Kane, or Fake Diesel.
Fake Diesel.
This guy, aside from just the longevity this dude's career has had, and also I just gotta say, anybody who can be in the Attitude Era as the masked demon from hell, and still reinvent yourself to be over and like cared about today, because I think his charisma is underrated, especially when he's doing corporate Kane.
Oh yeah.
When he goes off on a tangent on like talking corporate then goes into the demon voice, I just think like he's really talented, and also his in ring work.
Oh yeah,
and he had like one of my favorite stories ever told, like with his debut against his brother, and then they built that feud all the way to Mania.
Great storyline.
Yeah, they didn't touch all the way until Mania, and I thought that was just wonderful. And his ring work.
Did he
progressed.
have more than 1 or 2 appearances before Mania too? Like
it was all just shit canning people. There was no actual matches.
Okay.
There was just the lights would go out, his music would hit, he would just eat
That's
whoever.
Right. That's right. I remember.
And then finally the Undertaker would come back and say, "Fine, I got to fight you. That's the only way to stop you."
Yes.
And it was so Batman-y back then with them. It just felt like a Batman story.
Yeah, he's another guy that's on my extended list.
He's on your extended list?
He's on my extended list. I didn't leave anybody out.
Yeah, see, like his reinvention skills, I've always been a fan of.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
I mean, for me, the best part about not just his reinvention, but like he had several really bad gimmicks before he finally got something that made it work. But he made Isaac Yankem work.
Yeah.
It was enough to, and that was it. They brought him in to feed him to Bret Hart was all they were doing.
Pretty
really.
much, yeah.
But, he made it work, and then he tried to make Fake Diesel work, and that was just bad judgment on Vince's part. Kane has been great. One of the things that people don't really know is that, like, Glenn Jacobs outside of the ring is actually, like, a brilliant human being. He's like a genius, legitimately. And so it doesn't surprise me that he'd be able to flip a light switch and do whatever he needs to do. But the thing that's most impressive to me about his career, and I've heard a lot of guys say this, and a lot of guys will back this up, Kane doesn't hurt anybody ever.
No.
He never hurts guys, and usually a big 7-foot monster is clumsy, and they're always hurting guys. And to be in the wrestling business for 20 plus years, never injure anybody, and not even like guys breaking their fingers and shit, like small stuff. It's a testament to how good you are at your craft.
Yeah, that's why he was cursed. Well, not cursed, just trusted with always the first title shot. Whenever the babyface had won the title, he was always the first title shot. You go back to 2000 to 2009. Any babyface who won the title faces Kane first.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Daniel Bryan even.
Yep. And look what happened.
Oh,
and he hurt somebody in the story.
Oh, that's tough.
So
that's
who's your
tough.
number 8?
My number 8 is now this one's a little bit off the beaten path. I don't know how much you've seen of his work, but I had to pick him mostly because of his significance in the sport. Back in the 70s, there was one wrestling promotion in Japan, and it was All Japan Pro Wrestling. And this guy was the kind of the owner, booker. He was the guy in charge, and then Antonio Inoki broke off from All Japan and started New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And Giant Baba is absolutely a fantastic worker. If you want to watch a big guy, who you want to see what a big guy should be, it's him. The intensity he works with and work rate and the strikes, everything's good and crisp. And he had one of the biggest wrestling promotions in the world for years and years and years and years and years. And you should definitely check out more Giant Baba if you haven't had a chance to see him. But this dude was a legit giant, especially in Japan. He was huge, and he was one of the few guys in the 70s and 80s that could have a legitimate looking match with Andre the Giant, and they didn't know who was going to win. They didn't know who the favorite was, and so when Andre went to Japan, it was like, oh, it was this big deal. And he had a great tag team with Jumbo Tsuruta, and just fantastic worker. And I hope I hope people will go and Google him or YouTube that shit. Watch some Giant Baba. Let me know what you think, and then
See, like I definitely will, because I came on here to talk about the big guys I like and to learn about some big guys too. So I'm definitely gonna go and watch some more Bruiser Brody, and now some Giant Baba. So you'll notice in my list I've stuck with just WWE guys
for the most part.
And I knew you were gonna bring on the territory and Japan, which is great because it expands my horizons too. So that being said, my number 7.
Yes,
we're at number 7 is Rikishi.
Very good. Very good.
It is Rikishi, and I'll tell you why. Because he, right from the Head Shrinkers, starting with the Head Shrinkers.
Yeah, fantastic tag team.
That tag team was legit, and then he kind of fell off the beaten path with a couple of failed gimmicks, and then the Rikishi gimmick happened. And when that first happened, I was like, oh, this is 2 weeks, tops.
Yeah.
But the dude got an ass gimmick over. Like his gimmick was just the fat guy that fights with his ass.
Yep.
And he somehow put good work rate into that gimmick and got it over, almost to the point where he got a few main event matches out of it too. He had a feud with Stone Cold. He had a feud with The Rock.
Oh yeah.
He was in the 6-man Hell in the Cell match, and the man. This is a very under wraps match. Like, everyone forgets this match, but he had a cage match with Val Venus. Yeah. And he did a superfly splash from the top of the cage at Rikishi weight, because Rikishi weight and Fatu
pounds.
Yeah, it was a massive difference between his Fatu days and his Rikishi days. So I wanted to put him right like the towards the bottom, maybe towards the middle, because I think like his athleticism and the ability to get the gimmick that he had over was just fantastic, I thought.
Yeah, I love Rikishi. And I've told the story a few times on the air. Rikishi is near and dear to my heart because my sister was a recipient of a stink face at one point in her wrestling career.
That's funny because like back then that was like, your sister's done many a things since.
Yeah.
But like I remember back then that was like the first big thing that she did. Like that was like the first thing that even she put on Facebook. Like, hey, look what I did. Now she doesn't do that anymore. But that was actually back in the day where she would post something and go, hey, look what I got to do.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But that'll bring us to my number 7, and we've already talked about him. It's our first overlap of the night. I've got Yokozuna at my number 7 spot. Because, again, I mean, that's right in my wheelhouse of when I started watching wrestling. Is right when Brett got the title, was right when I started wrestling, which is probably a big part of why he's my favorite wrestler to this day. And, I mean, another big part is that he's really legitimately the best wrestler of all time. And so, like, I can put his 80s matches on, and still they hold up to this day as the best matches I've ever seen in my life. I don't watch, it's not like I go back and watch The Ultimate Warrior and go, oh, God, why did I like this? Or
well, let me stop you there because you, and let's not go too far into this because I think we will. But earlier you said Shinsuke was the greatest of all time. Now you're saying Bret Hart.
I said he's the best wrestler in the world right now.
Right now, but Bret Hart's the best of all time.
Yes. In my
what's the difference?
Bret Hart is not currently wrestling in this world right now. So,
but all time means all time.
Oh yeah, of all the times is Bret Hart for me.
Okay,
yeah, he's the best of all time, and Shinsuke is not quite on that level yet. Shinsuke has cracked my top 5 now at this point already. Just watching him for 3 years, he's already in my top 5 of the evers. And
of the evers,
yes,
I like that.
Of the evers, and he's got a ways to go to get to Bret Hart status for me. I mean, because when I look back at my life, it like my 6 or 7. It's not only that they're my favorite matches of all time, it was also the best matches that these really great wrestlers ever had in their career. Like he had Roddy Piper's best match ever. He had British Bulldog's best match ever. He had Mr. Perfect's Kurt Hennig, who's a great worker. He had his best match ever. He had the Bam Bam Bigelow's best match ever. Like these guys are all great workers, and that's who they had their best match ever with was Brett. And I don't. It's not a coincidence.
Even in my opinion, and I'm sure I'll be fought on this by others, but I think you might agree with me. Even Shawn Michaels had his best match ever with Bret Hart.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean you could make an argument for the Chris Jericho WrestleMania match, but I mean
or the Undertaker match,
or the Undertaker match, but I mean,
or the Kurt Angle match,
or
the.
I don't have the Kurt Angle matches up there.
I'm just speaking to Shawn Michaels.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that Kurt Angle match, you got to rewatch that.
It's good, but it's
most intense 5-minute ending I've ever seen.
Yeah. But when you watch that Iron Man match, it is balls to the wall, going hard. They didn't rest hold for the first 20 minutes. They went balls to the wall, hard as you can go for 60 minutes. And they actually wrestled. Like I don't mean to. I at this point in life, I'm trying not to sound like I'm ragging on Ric Flair because he's one of the all-time greats, and his matches with Ricky Steamboat were great. But a 60-minute Ric Flair match is 200 chops and a couple of backdrops and eye rakes and low blows. It's not a wrestling clinic for 60 minutes. Brett and Shawn that night put on a wrestling clinic for 60 minutes. And there may be some better 60-minute matches. Like if you want to watch Misawa and Kenta Kobashi in Japan, I think they have a 90-minute match, and it's just absolute insane intensity, and it's great. But this 60 minutes with Shawn and Brett was just balls to the wall from the beginning, hard, going. I mean, Shawn kicked the shit out of a cameraman.
Oh, yeah. He kicked the shit out of Brett.
Yeah.
Like, it was funny because I look at that match, and it's your standard wrestling match, except all the key elements and all the parts that formulate a match are just extended to fit a 60-minute time limit.
Yeah, exactly.
So your hold spot is 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
Your high spot is 30 minutes long.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
just insane. So that brings us where we at. Number
Let's go
6?
back to the big guys now.
But even then, I would probably say Yokozuna's best match ever was with Bret Hart. At WrestleMania 10.
Oh yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah,
just great work.
The finish made sense. It didn't make him look like shit. It just made him look stupid.
Yeah,
it just made him look stupid and fat. That's all it did. So, all right, number 6, near and dear to my heart, because when I started in the business, everybody who was willing to give me advice told me to watch this person. Starting with you, to Jesse Hernandez, to Bill Anderson, to everybody who gave a damn what I was going to do told me to watch this person, and by golly, were they right. Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yes.
Bam Bam Bigelow, just like the House of Fire, the Beast from the East. That guy was so I hated him when I was a child. So when I come into the business and just like, you know, I know nothing and everyone's telling me to watch Bam Bam, all I'm doing is just going back to my childhood. I hate that guy. Hate him so much. Like he hated Doink. Who the hell hates Doink? So you know, when I got smartened up and knew what it took to put together a match, when I was watching Bam Bam, I was just like, good Lord, this guy's doing drop kicks, he's doing moonsaults, I mean cartwels for moonsaults, but come on now. It's more than what I can do, even at my current size. Yeah. So yeah, Bam Bam, other than all that, like, you know, his agility, his character, his WrestleMania main event with Lawrence Taylor gets shit on, but I loved it.
I don't know why. I can't imagine why anyone. Like, okay, yes, it's not a great match, but you got to look at the circumstances of which the match is. It's a guy who's not a professional wrestler, and you got to have a main event at WrestleMania with that guy. And as far as I'm concerned, they did it. Yeah, it's either that or Floyd Mayweather Big Show as the greatest like guest spot professional wrestling match from a non-wrestler I've ever seen.
So we're not even going to talk about Jay Leno tagging with Hulk Hogan or Diamond Dallas Page. We're not going to talk about Dennis Rodman or Karl Malone.
No. Yeah. Hey, more professional athletes that you know which sport they played and everything.
Tied to professional wrestling. Thank you. Hey, I know who Pete Rose is, and it's not because of baseball.
but he actually is in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
So, that's one of my favorite discussions. I'll just give you a little kind of synopsis of the Pete Rose saga.
I know the whole story. Okay, he didn't get in the Hall of Fame, so they let him be in the Hall of Fame for WWE. Yeah.
But he is the all-time hits leader in the history of Major League Baseball. Yeah. In his career, he got more hits than any other player ever, and it's like 4,260 something. Mm-hmm. It's in. I know. I can look it up. You know, I could Google that shit. But anyway, he's the all-time hits leader, and he played for like 25 years, and it's like surefire, no doubt, no-brainer Hall of Famer. Well, when he was managing, he had a gambling problem, right? And so he was betting on baseball games. And he was also betting. He would bet on his team, but never against his team. But the nights you don't bet on your team, you're kind of betting against your team anyway. But anyway, that's like in the world of sports, that's the biggest thing is you cannot gamble on your sport because then you're messing with the integrity of the game. And baseball is like the big time integrity sport. You gotta be true to the sport. You can't cheat. That's why even though every sport has a steroid scandal, baseball was in the Supreme Court talking about sports because this is our national pastime and they cheated at baseball and hit more home runs. But anyway, so when he got busted for cheating and betting and gambling and all that, when he got busted, he signed basically a waiver saying, I will accept a lifetime ban from baseball, period. So for my entire lifetime, I won't be in a baseball stadium. I won't manage. And that included the Hall of Fame. That's part of baseball. And he signed this agreement so that he never had to admit that he bet on baseball or any of this stuff. And so it went away. And for the last 30, 40 years, it's just been like, oh, no, he doesn't have to admit to it. He's just banned from baseball. Whatever. And so then finally, a few years ago, he got a hair up his ass like, okay, I want to get in the Hall of Fame before I die. And then plus if I get in the Hall of Fame, maybe I can make some money because I have seen Pete Rose live and in person in Las Vegas at memorabilia stores, signing autographs and selling, Oh, yeah. Because that's what he's relegated to because he's got a gambling problem. Mm-hmm. So that's basically what that is. He's not in the Hall of Fame as the all-time hits leader in the sport that stats are the most important thing for the last 200 years because of baseball cards. And so he's not in the Hall of Fame. So, yeah, Vince McMahon said, fuck, just to give him the rub, fuck you guys, I'll put him in my Hall of Fame because he got tombstoned by Kane a few times.
Yeah, like 4 years in a row.
Another reason that we should give Kane some props because he's making Hall of Famers just by simply showing up. So, absolutely. So where are we at now that I keep going? 6. My number 6, here we go with our second overlap of the night. My number 6 is Rikishi. He's right there. So, I think we're pretty close on, Rikishi and Yoko where they belong in the world in the history of big guys. And the same thing. Rikishi, for a 400-pound dude to have the work rate that he did is just insane. But the Too Cool the whole Too Cool gimmick, getting over a breakdancing 400-pound dude, like how awesome is that? Just to embrace that, because like you think seriously when they handed him a thong and said you're going to go out there and rub your cellulite ass in people's face and dance, that he was excited about it?
Not at all. But he made it work, and that's why he's on my list.
Yeah, but he made it work and
over
and way over. I mean,
yeah.
I genuinely think if he didn't start having injuries towards that run, like when he had the cage match in the 6-way where he took the big bump off the cage into the, like stupid shit that you should never do, that you don't have to do if you weigh 400 pounds, but he did it.
Yeah.
And I mean, that to me is more impressive than anything, but I wish he would have had a big main event run with Austin, because there would have been fantastic matches, because the dude could really wrestle a great match.
He really could. Yeah,
it is what
fan.
it, you know.
Big fan of Rikishi. Nice dude too. Put me over.
Yeah, he was really nice guy. Oh, you worked with?
No, but he liked my work.
Oh yeah, he liked your. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, wait, I missed that one. I know you wrestled with Christopher Daniels, who's another one of my heroes in the world. But
yeah, that was fun.
At this point, I'd like to talk about maybe some of the big guys that aren't going to necessarily make the list tonight, because we're approaching our second break here. It'll be coming up in about 5 or 6 minutes. There's a few guys I really liked that. All right, I got you. All right, sorry, we got some technical difficulties going on there. All right, but yeah, we got right off the bat, like guys like that were fun. They maybe didn't necessarily great, but they had good gimmicks. The Giant Kamala is like one of the first guys I come to on my list. He had a good run with the Undertaker, and he's another one of those guys that came up and.
So if we're quickly going through our honorable mentions.
Yes, honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions, or slash guys who.
Guys you don't think are going to make this list, but you really like and just want to talk about them.
Well, then I'm going to go with the natural disasters. They're on my honorable mentions. I'm not going to say they were bad. I'm just going to say that they just didn't go on my top 10 list, but guys who I felt should be looked at. Earthquake became Golga in the oddities, and I thought that was my favorite times of the Earthquake of that guy. Anyway, are we good?
I don't know.
Awesome.
Sorry, he's trying to communicate to me. I have no idea what I'm doing out here. So,
yay!
Yeah, so we're trying to figure some stuff out. We're gonna go ahead and take a break, guys. We got some stuff to figure out real quick, so we're gonna take a quick break. Then we'll get back to our top 10 list, get into all our honorable mentions, maybe talk about what it is that we look for in a big heavyweight wrestler, what's good for us, and also the phone lines are open 909-360-8330. Give us a call. Tell us who your favorite big men are. And we'll be back right after the break here on KaoticRadio.com.
Shut down, we give up a flag. Keep it real dope, just using their ass. That's right.
Good Radio, and Chaotic Radio. In that order.
Yeah, we coming now. Come on. Yeah. That's right. We put it down. It's like a family in here, just a little disabled. Putting it down, we lay them out on the table. Who's in the house?
And we're back. All right, we got everything worked out on our end. We shouldn't have any more interruptions or awkward silence on the show tonight. But I'm sorry, I got to apologize. It's my first time kind of working in the host chair tonight, and so I'm kind of learning on the job, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what's happening here with some of our awkward silence. And every time I'm quiet, Ron looks quiet too instead of keep talking.
You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Yes.
So we've reached the I wanted to get our honorable mentions in there, but then I realized because you kind of stepped on one of mine right there, is that if we talk about all our honorable mentions, we might step on each other's list here. And so
we should save the honorable mentions for after the fact.
We'll discuss the rest of the guys after we get to our top 10. But that brings me to my number 5. I'll go ahead and go first with number 5 because you just mentioned him. Earthquake is my number 5 because I think Earthquake is a really massively underrated worker in the ring. His single stuff before the natural disasters. I think the natural disasters is what he kind of gets remembered with. And him and Typhoon were a fantastic tag team, and it was great to have. It was kind of funny to have two big giant baby faces to wrestle Ted DiBiase and IRS. It was kind of different. It really didn't happen. And before that, Tugboat, before he was Typhoon, he was Tugboat, and he was the big, lovable, cuddly baby face. And so it was kind of fun to see them revitalize that role. And I don't think the plan was for them to be babies, but then they had Ted DiBiase and IRS as a really hot tag team at the time. So they needed somebody that they knew could give them their comeuppance. So Earthquake is one of the guys I also told you to watch back in the day because he was a legitimate sumo wrestler. Mm-hmm. He really did that. When he had the sumo gimmick match, whenever he did on TV, that was something he actually did. And so he was really coordinated for a big guy, and you have to be to do his finisher, the running, whoopee cushion in the ring.
Absolutely, and that looks scary as shit to take.
Oh yeah,
and mad respect to the guy. He just didn't make my list. I loved his work in the Oddities.
That was fun too.
I loved the Oddities. I looking back at the Oddities. I was like, even Kurgan almost should be on the honorable mentions, and the Giant Silva.
Yeah. I think Giant Silva and Kurgan belong on the worst list because they were god awful. But it was funny to see Kurgan doing the Oddities gimmick after they brought him in as just another stereotypical monster bad guy, and then they had him dancing in the ring and doing stuff, and it was fun and it was interesting.
It got him over. People were like, oh well, these guys have personality.
So let's go ahead and get your number 5.
All right, number 5. This is where I was really looking forward to this because I knew that this is where the conversation was going to be interesting. My number 5 is Mr. Kevin Nash.
Yes, this is where it does get interesting because he was in my list of 1 to 2, 3 guys that I wanted to sneak into my list, but I didn't feel right putting him in over Giant Baba or Bruiser Brody, and I wasn't knocking Abdullah the Butcher off the list. So.
Yes. Well, that just kind of speaks to your theme to your list. You expanded outside territory and stuff like that. But as far as my my strict WWE list or WCW for that matter, Kevin Nash is up there. Not only what his contributions as Diesel and Kevin Nash, but he was one of the founding fathers of the NWO, which was the reason for the biggest time in wrestling.
Yes.
The Monday Night Wars. Member of the Clique. He's got so many bullet points on his resume that just puts him on this list. He's a member of the Clique. He's a member of the NWO. He's a Hall of Famer, 7-foot guy that can go. He until his knees gave out later in his career. But even now, he's still in shape and he does indie shows here and there. and it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look desperate. I still believe him when he goes out there, and big fan. Love his stuff in his movies.
Yeah, I'm not. It's not that I'm not a fan, because I loved Diesel. Diesel's right in my wheelhouse in my childhood, and I was doing the power bomb and the whole gimmick, and so like I understand, and I love Diesel, and his stuff in WCW was okay. Like I've never really been a huge fan of his work.
No,
he's not a great work guy, and it was hard for me to put him on my list, because I really went with the guys who I thought were the best workers for this list. And you can absolutely, if you're going based on most impact on the business, Kevin Nash absolutely deserves to be in the list, and plus, probably top 5, and probably way higher than my personal number 1. But we'll get there.
Yeah, you never know. But that's the beauty of wrestling. Like movies and music, it's all opinionated, and all there is just passionate opinions. There's no right or wrong. But unless it's my opinion, then it's always right. So, but Kevin Nash, the word worker is it's a broad word. There's some guys, when they hear good worker, they just think of like wrestling, or their acting ability or something like that. But I look at the total package. Like if his promos, amazing. Like you put a mic in his hand, he doesn't bore you at all.
Yeah.
Whether he shoots or he's going full gimmick. He doesn't know his grammar, because look at the adjective is still one of the most famous videos of his.
Yeah.
Look at the adjective. Play. That's not an adjective, buddy.
Yeah, and that's my thing. Like I kind of really feel like, he was a big part of stuff, but he really was kind of just, to me, like an overrated guy. But he wasn't that great on the mic either. Like he didn't really talk all that great. He just looks freaking phenomenal, and he was passable in the ring. Like he was better than some of the big clunky guys that you get at that size. He was better than, I don't know, say Great Khali and those kind of guys. Like he could actually have a passable match. But he's the guy, like I look back and I watch his matches and I go, God, he wasn't really that good.
Yeah, but he just had that star quality. Like he was like the answer to a lot of our prayers, as far as like the big guy that was articulate, that looked like a movie star. He was like a good looking 7 foot tall guy that can move. But yeah, that's just basically my stance on Kevin Nash. And that was my number 5. What's your number 5?
Oh, I already did my number 5.
That's right. You went first.
I went first because you stepped on Earthquake for me.
Sorry.
So we'll go right into your number 4.
My number 4. All right, number 4. Number 4 is the man they call Vader for me.
Man they call Vader.
Yes.
All right, Vader. Yes. We're gonna have some over. This is where we're gonna overlap big time. The top of our list are gonna be very similar.
Oh yes, for me, number 4, Vader. Just deceivingly agile. Another guy.
Oh yeah,
that can
fantastic.
Another big dude that can do a moonsault. His reputation for being for his striking is awesome, because like people would be legit scared to wrestle him.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop you right there. We have a caller on the line.
Ooh.
So let's hopefully I can figure out how to do it. Caller, are you there? Hello.
All right.
See, we're having more technical difficulty because I'm not entirely sure how to do this. It's good times though, guys. So, there's that. What number is it? There we go. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Oh, and is this our faithful host, Jeff Maverick, on the line?
This is your fearless leader. How are you guys doing?
We're okay.
Hello, Jeff Word.
Hello, Mr. Ronald.
Are you calling in to shit all over our list and ruin our top 3?
No, sir. I'm actually calling in to throw down my top 5 real quick.
Oh, you want to chip in with yours? Okay, I guess we can allow that. He is the host of the show.
Well, hell, man. Y'all are talking super heavyweights, and I love super heavyweights.
Well, sir, let me stop you right there and let me ask you a question. Am I anywhere near that top 5?
You are not near the top 5.
Hang
I
up
would
on him
have
now.
put you
Hang up
at
on him now.
number 11 had I ever seen you wrestle.
Oh, what he meant to say was hang up on him. Hang up on him right now.
All right.
Hang up on him now.
All right. Our fearless host, sorry you couldn't be here with us tonight. We are having a good time. Are you listening to the show?
Oh, hell yeah, I'm listening to the show. I got to make sure you guys aren't fucking up too bad.
Oh, now.
But I gotta say, Cole, not easy sitting in the big boy chair, is it?
No, it's not too bad. But I did forget to unmute myself tonight. So in your place, I did forget to unmute myself, but it was okay because it lasted 1 second. So, but I haven't.
You know what, man? You guys have sounded really good tonight. I'm really happy with it. Really bummed out I can't be there, but I will be there for our final show of the year.
Yeah, we gotta figure out what we're doing. That would be fantastic. Dude,
I'm thinking maybe we'll throw down another top 10.
Nice.
Because I know how much you love the top 10s, and that'll be my Christmas present to you.
Who doesn't love a top 10 list? Like, who doesn't?
I don't know. What culture has made an entire revolution out of it, so we're good on that. But I'm thinking our top 10 favorite matches of all time.
That would be
Wait,
a good
never
one.
mind. Bret Hart versus Bret Hart versus Bret Hart versus Bret Hart versus...
He knows me so well. You actually would be surprised.
I don't think I would. I'm surprised if I'm not surprised.
Knowing Cole, we probably hadn't seen any of these either. Any of these matches.
No, I guarantee you my top 3.
It's like him versus the freaking Pegasus Kid from Calgary Stampede in 1989.
Hey, I still have
in Winnemucca, Manitoba or some shit.
I still have one of his best of Ultimos with him versus Pegasus Kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, we'll never mention him by the other name, but Pegasus Kid was great.
So what, Jeff, why don't you go ahead and give us your top 5? Your top 5.
All right, and with the first 3-way overlap of the night, my number 5 is Rikishi.
Nice.
Yay.
My number 4 with another overlap is Vader.
All right.
Always loved his matches.
We matched.
He is also my number 4.
Oh,
by the way,
number 4s.
So we have a 3-way number 4, by the way. I think the general consensus is that Vader is the 4th best big man of all time.
Yes.
So on to your number 3.
Was a really good big man.
Oh, yeah, he was. He was great.
My number 3 is Big Show.
Nice.
My number 2 would be the Dead Man, Undertaker, which I know I'm going to get a shitload of hell from you guys for.
He is also number 2 on my list, so you're right there.
Spoiler alert,
I know,
sir.
spoiler alert. Go ahead, and your number 1 giant super heavyweight of all time.
Favorite super heavyweight of all time is Crash Holly.
Okay, now I am going to hang up on you.
Hey, come on, man. If you're being billed as a super heavyweight, you can be put on the top 10 super heavyweight list.
Well, in that case, back in the good old days, Ron was running the cruiserweight champion gimmick when he was round 500 pounds. So we can call him a cruiserweight.
Absolutely. I was the cruiserweight killer.
But
why bother?
When it comes down to it, Crash Holly had, 1998 was the year of Crash Holly.
Yeah, sure it was.
Come on, man.
Well, you just crashed our list.
So, but guys are sounding really good.
Wait, so
really
you're serious?
I can't be in there. Huh?
Wait, hold on. So you're serious?
Yeah, my number 1's Crash Holly.
So wait, I'm gonna venture a guess and say that you called just for that, just to tell us that your number 1 was Crash Holly,
just to piss me off.
I did.
Yeah. You purposely left Andre the Giant off your top 5. And put Crash Holly in there just to rib Cole. And you know what? And you know what, Jason? You know what, Jeff? I love it.
I know you do. Out of everybody in the world that I thought would love my Crash Holly gimmick, would be you, Ron.
I love it.
No, Ron did pitch that he was going to come here and do a whole list like that just to irritate me. Jeff Hardy and
So, whoa.
Yeah, it's just you now.
Weird beeping coming on.
Oh,
All right, you guys, I got to get back to work. I'm about 3 minutes late on a patrol, so keep up the good work. And Cole, I will see you next week.
Yes, sir.
Everybody have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, sir. I'll see you on the other side.
All right. Bye.
All right, that was Jeff Maverick, our normal host here in the host chair.
Crash Holly.
Yeah, that's stupid. Fuck him.
Yeah, I'm gonna paint the picture for you right now. He's just sitting in his car. He's like, dude, if I call and just say that my favorite super heavyweight is Crash Holly, he'd be so pissed. I need to come up with a 4 real quick.
He's like, I'm gonna crash this top 10 list. But yeah, so all of our number 4 was Vader, though. That's pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
I think his list is garbage because Crash Holly doesn't count, and he's disqualified from making lists, I think.
Oh, buddy.
But yeah, Vader was my number 4 as well.
Excellent.
And I mean, from the mask and just the legitimacy of looking at Vader. He was a legitimate college football star. He was a good football player, and so that's where the athleticism comes from. And for him, he was just huge.
Oh,
he was huge.
His time in Japan.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, watch his Japanese stuff. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But that's going to bring us to our number 3 spot on the list. Who is your number 3?
Number 3 is where the arguments will start.
Maybe.
Oh, I'm quite certain because I want to say you and I have had this argument already, but my number 3 is Mr. the Giant. First name Andre. Andre, you know, what can't you say about the dude? Like, that dude was, like, in a lot of ways the first one of the first poster boys of Vince McMahon's wrestling, WWE. You know, you got San Martino, and then he was like the antagonist, Andre. Like, he was like the, like, what's that? Like
the invincible.
Yeah, he's the eighth wonder of the world.
Yeah.
He's so crazy to look at, and and has a reputation for being like one of the biggest sweethearts on the planet.
Exactly.
Biggest being the word.
Well, yeah, because what does he have to fear? Who's gonna fuck with Andre the Giant? He's 7'4", 500 pounds.
Exactly, and he had such presence that like he can just literally stand wherever, and money would just come in.
Oh,
like
yeah.
he does.
That
is one guy that literally didn't have to do anything. He could just stand there, pose for pictures, and just that it would sell a WrestleMania.
But he didn't. When he first started in wrestling, he was like throwing drop kicks and jumping off the ropes, and it's unfortunate that his disease really knocked out years off his life for sure. But I mean, his career was so short and really could have been a phenomenal long career. I mean, he got a lot of mileage out of it because towards the end, the last few years in WWE, he could barely walk.
Yeah.
You know, but he was out there putting out for Ultimate Warrior and Jake and all these guys and still putting on a good show, even though he could barely walk. Like you see him walking around the ring, like hand on the apron, walking in.
Oh yeah, it was a struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that people don't really take into consideration too when they compare like the giant wrestlers versus the cruiserweights, where you know these guys are fighting their health while they're performing. You know, because giantism is a disease. You know, it's not necessarily that guy's huge. No, he's dealing with something at the same time.
Andre had like twice as many teeth as a normal human being.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just. I mean, really, he had gigantism. He was a freak of nature, literally.
Yeah.
But I mean, Andre the Giant. Anytime Andre the Giant comes up, it puts me in my happy place because the Andre the Giant stories are the best things ever.
Oh yeah.
And I think I've told the one on air about him shitting in the bed in Japan and then wiping his ass on the curtains. But another one of my favorite Andre the Giant stories was when the Rocker, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, first went to WWE. Bless you, Violet. When they first went to WWE, anyone who's been in the business knows that the handshake is a big deal, or at least it had been for many, many years. I think finally in the last 5 years, it's become whatever. Okay, we hug, we kiss. It doesn't matter. We don't have the secret handshake anymore. But way back in the day, when you walked into the locker room, you were supposed to go around, shake everybody's hand, say hi, and if they didn't know you, introduce yourselves. Well. So when Shawn and Marty came, they had kind of gotten a reputation as party boys and this and that. They had kind of earned a reputation, let's be honest. And so when they came to WWE, Andre would never shake their hands. They'd go up to Andre every night, and he'd just be like, and they'd go off. And after the third time in a row, Marty just gave up and was like, whatever, fuck it. And Sean every night kept going to shake Andre's hand, and he never shake his hand. And finally, after months, after they'd been there and kind of earned their spot a little bit, he finally got the balls to be like, Andre, why won't you shake her hand? He's like, I'm just fucking with you, boss. I like you guys. You're good. You're good. You've earned your spot. I'm just fucking with you.
That's awesome. And notice how it took him 8 months to question that man.
Exactly. That's the best part of that story, is that it was months of and still every day showing them respect and going up to shake Andre's hand.
Mm-hmm.
And Andre, as much as he likes to deny it nowadays. He got not Andre, but why am I blanking on the Freebirds? Freebirds, the guy, Michael Hayes.
Michael Hayes.
He tries to deny it. And now, if you ask him, since Andre's gone, he doesn't want to badmouth anybody. But they showed up and got signed to WWE, and they were supposed to start a big thing, and they missed like their second show. And Andre went into Vince and said, if you don't fire them, I quit.
Oh.
And so they got fired.
Wow.
So Andre, if you don't think Andre had stroke back in the day, you're wrong.
Oh, no.
But that's going to bring me to my number 3 on my list. And you were expecting argument. My number 3 is Andre the freaking Giant.
Oh, my gosh.
So we're absolutely in the same boat on Andre the Giant. I love Andre.
Wow.
Especially watching his older work and his Japanese work. He's great.
I seriously was expecting an argument.
Well, you think I was going to leave him off my list completely?
No, I thought he was.
I was
going
to murder you and say he's the best ever.
Yeah, yes, because a number of my arguments regarding the two that come into question.
Yeah.
I always catch shit for. But it sounds like you're going in my direction, which is cool.
Yeah, Andre's there.
Andre's there at number 3.
He's
so
my number 3. So you're number 2.
So my number 2 is Mr. Show. First
Mr.
name Big.
Show.
Now,
see, this is where we're going to have the argument, but go ahead.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Big Show, and this is personal preference. I get that.
You don't have to defend yourself. It's fine.
I know. Just for the two that are listening right now too.
Hey, we are just so we're global. We are global, but our listening audience has tripled since we started the show. We started with about 70 people, and we're upwards of 250 now. So it's good. Thank you guys for listening. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Letting us inside your earballs. So,
thank you for putting us
Big Show is your guy.
Yeah, Big Show's my guy, and I'll tell you why. And this is again personal preference. Andre is a childhood hero,
Yes.
But I felt Big Show was everything Andre was, plus the stardom, plus delivering his own stardom, if that makes sense. Because Andre is
he wasn't just a retread.
Yeah, Andre, he did a lot, he contributed a lot, but I think Vince can just put him somewhere, you stand there, you do this, and just be Andre. And yes, it'll get over because that's Andre. He does whatever needs to be done. But Big Show, he still relies on the delivery of a promo, his articulation, his reinvention skills. He became way more than just the Giant, and I thought that is a step over Andre just a little bit, just because a man fighting giantism, also being comfortable stepping out of the box.
Well, he was fighting, but see, he caught his gigantism early enough that he was able to get treatment, and so he's not.
Yeah, he can live with
that anymore. So he's good, and hopefully he's going to live a long life and prosperous and all that good stuff.
And I don't know if you saw his return, but he lost the weight again.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, he needed to. It's tough. It's so hard. I mean, you and I can both attest to this. It's so hard to wrestle when you're 60, 70, 80 pounds overweight. It's so much easier. I mean, even right now, I'm, technically 80 pounds overweight based on what they say. But my what's a comfortable weight for me is somewhere around 250, 60 pounds. And so this last time we wrestled, I was at 260, and it was great. And I could move. I could do everything I wanted to do, and it was fantastic. But when I was 330... when I basically stopped wrestling, it was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard. I can't even imagine being 550 pounds and trying to wrestle
and being in quote unquote ring shape too. It's still even hard.
Exactly. Yeah,
it's still even hard with that.
Well, because even at 260, once we started rolling around again for the first time in probably 4 or 5 years that I'd been in a ring, it was like, oh man, I'm 30 now. This is not the same thing as when I was 18.
No,
it's a little tough. These bumps hurt. I have these lightning bolts going up my back when I do my leg drop, and I got this other stuff going on. It's a little weird. But I mean, I understand what you're saying about Big Show. This is where Big Show is not on my top 10 list.
Whoa.
So, because I understand what you're saying about how, as far as is his character, yeah, he was a little bit more articulate than Andre. Probably his in-ring work is a little more clean than Andre's, a little better than Andre's. But for me, I just see a guy who never tapped into his full potential. Like, he never got where he could have been because, for one reason or another, I don't put it all on him. I put a lot of it on Vince McMahon because they let Chris Jericho beat him and Rey Mysterio beat him and everyone beat him. But to me, the reason I have Andre so much higher than him is that Andre was the real deal gimmick. Like, they brought in Big Show, and yeah, he's a big dude, but they never acted like he was a big dude. They just acted like he was another wrestler and treated him like that. And it was like, okay, why should I give a shit? And I don't necessarily blame him for that, but
no, he's a victim of bad booking.
Yeah, for the level of glory that you should have been able to achieve with Big Show, because you did have a more athletic version of Andre the Giant.
Oh yeah, and that's inarguable.
And they just dropped the ball with him, and so he's not on my list because when he was coming into the ring doing Andre's thing, it was like, that time had passed, and we want to watch the smaller guys now. And like, it's not fair to hold that against him, but I am. Fuck him. So he was in that 2 or 3 guys. He was there with Nash on my list where I'm like, I want to put these 2 guys in, but I kind of left them out mostly so I could mention Bruiser Brody and Baba, because I do love those guys, and I think their work is much better than Big Show and Nash's. And so, like, I want to talk, like, if people are listening who want to find out about wrestling, I want to broaden their horizons. But I mean, for me personally, I'd rather watch Abdullah the Butcher than Big Show.
Yeah, and that's just me. And I'm glad you are picking all these guys, because if our lists were identical, then this would be boring.
Yeah, it would be super boring.
It'd just be 2 wrestling fans jerking each other off.
But yeah, that's just me. I feel like Big Show's always just been a massive underachiever.
Yeah.
And that's just where I am with Big Show, and that's why he's not on my list. But my number 2, see, this is where we're definitely going to have some argument, because I'm quite positive this is number 1 on your list. But my number 2 is The Undertaker. Now, if we're just talking about the greatest big man of all time, it's obviously The Undertaker. He's head and shoulders above everybody. He passed Andre a long time ago, and nobody, I don't think, will ever have a 7-foot guy achieve anywhere close to what Undertaker's achieved. The only reason he's number 2 on my list is because there's just another guy I like better. Personal preference that I just like his work better.
Very intrigued. I am very intrigued.
And so Undertaker is, head and shoulders the greatest of all time, but we were just doing my personal top 10, so he's not on our list. But I mean, if you go back to Undertaker's career, you want to talk about reinventing yourself.
Yes.
And I mean, he did the Dead Man gimmick from right around just for WrestleMania 8. So we're talking about 1992. We bring in the Dead Man. And here we are in 2016, and he's still doing the Dead Man, but there was that good 4, 5, 6 years in the middle where he did the American Badass and he did other stuff. And we, Jeff and I talked about this a couple weeks ago, that I'm so glad he did do that.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't think his place in the business would be the same had he not, because when he got to do the American Badass gimmick, he got to say, hey, I'm a wrestler, guys. Like, I'm a wrestler. I'm not just a gimmick. No. I'm not a satyr. I can really fucking wrestle. And now I can
cut a promo.
Yeah, I can talk, too. That's it. He's a great promo guy as well. And so it's probably just me, wanting to pick my guy as number 1. But I mean, you can't argue Undertaker as top of anyone's list, and maybe of any list, just wrestling greats of all time. If you have Undertaker at the top of your list, I can't make a good argument to say that he doesn't deserve to be there.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you said that, because this is all preference, exactly.
Yes.
So yeah, my number one is in fact The Undertaker, and it's and I can go with all the reasons, but we'll just go with the main ones. I mean, you got a streak that'll never be duplicated.
Oh, agreed.
It'll never happen again. No one will ever have anything close to that ever. The fact that he, like you said, was the Dead Man.
Yeah.
And then switched gimmicks to the American Badass, but also went back to the previous gimmick and still was just as over as it ever was.
But the best part about about the second time around was he got to include a little bit better promos.
Yes.
He's still doing the dead man gimmick in his promos for the most part, but he got to include the wrestling.
Yeah.
We got to say he's a real wrestler now.
Yeah, all those classic Kurt Angle matches we got to keep those.
God, yes.
We got to keep those with the gimmick we loved. So it's like we got the best of both
worlds. And we got
worlds
to
from
have
him.
him with Sean, who's even better than Kurt Angle. So
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and Sean's return too. So we got all the stuff that we missed. So yeah, Undertaker, big props to Undertaker. He's my number one for sure. So I want to hear your number one.
Okay, now my number one. Now, obviously, he's not going to be number one on most people's list because Ron's like just scratching his head right now because we just talked about Andre the Giant and Vader and Undertaker and Rikishi. But this is my personal favorite big man of all time, and the guy who I kind of, if I could model myself after as a fat guy, this is absolutely the guy I would pick. And it's not just for his work in WWE. It's not for his stuff. It's definitely including his stuff in Japan because his stuff in Japan is fantastic. If you get a chance, he had some great matches with the Great Muta and Dr. Death and Vader and all those guys. But his stuff in ECW for me revolutionized what a big man could be in this business. He changed what the business was for a big man. You could go out there and have these matches with Spike Dudley and Taz and Rob Van Dam, and you could bump for them, and you could suplex them, and you could come off the top rope. And my number one is Bam Bam Bigelow as far as super heavyweight wrestlers goes, because for my money, no one is a better worker at 400 plus pounds than Bam Bam, and his selling is incredible. I mean, just watch the match he had at the first King of the Ring with Bret Hart. I mean, Jesus Christ, just his stuff with Bret is incredible. Yeah, that's right, Bret Hart. If you're still listening, Jeff, that's right. Bam Bam's best stuff was with Bret Hart. But, I mean, dude, the ECW stuff with Taz is just completely insane, off the chain.
You know, it's funny. I'm laughing at myself for scratching my head because I could have sworn you said Bam Bam earlier in your list.
Well, you brought it up, and I said, we're going to have some crossover here, and I did mention it, so I think you might have just forgot. But
I'm actually really happy that he's your number one. Really happy.
Yeah, I probably would get a lot of argument with that. And if anyone,
I was like, if this guy's going to go territorial or Japan on this one, he's got to at least have a WWE guy for the number one. Come on now.
Well, I mean, you have to. If anytime we're talking about wrestling, at least since we're in America, for the most part, every list is going to go WWE's way. There's a few guys, like if I'm talking about my all-time favorites, Too Cold Scorpio is going to get up there, and he never really had a WWE run. Great Muta never had a WWE run, and he's like in my top 5 period of guys that I love. But
we're approaching under 10 minutes. Do you want to go through the honorable mentions? Because I know we got a lot.
Yes, so that's our top 10 list. You can hit us up on Facebook or the Twitter and let us know. He'll find us. He'll Talk Radio and give us your list or tell us why we're idiots because we're running out of time. But there are a lot of guys I wanted to mention. The first one right off the top, who gets forgotten because he was before everyone's time, but he was really a really great worker. And if you get a chance to watch his work, go watch Ernie the Cat Lad. He was the original 6'9" badass bad guy who was cool and had a little bit of work rate to him.
I need to mention King Kong Bundy.
Yes, he's also on my honorable list.
He's on my honorable list. I mean, he main evented WrestleMania 2. He's a victim on Undertaker's streak list.
Yes, he is.
I liked his work in the $1 Million Corporation.
I liked his work in Popeye.
Yes. He had a couple. Man, I wish he could have been Kingpin.
Yeah. One of the guys I'm surprised I thought he was going to make your list probably was Big Boss Man. He was right there, right on my next 3.
I know, because when I became a fan of Big Boss Man, it was Corporation Big Boss Man. You got because I became a fan in '94.
Okay.
My first ever pay-per-view was Taker versus Taker, SummerSlam '94. That was my very first pay-per-view.
So you missed like the stuff with the Mountie.
Yeah, so I missed Boss Man, Demolition,
the Twin Towers with Akeem / One Man Gang.
I missed Demolition. That doesn't mean like after I got into the business, I didn't go back and study.
Yes,
I definitely watched Boss Man because I was told to.
Well,
what do you think? The Around the world is based off the Boss Man Slam.
Yes.
There you go.
Well, but his Japanese stuff is also really good.
Yes.
So if you get a chance to check that out too.
I've only seen a handful, and just to touch on Boss Man real quick, when I did hear of him, he was way smaller.
Oh
like,
yeah.
When he came back in the jumpsuit, he was way smaller.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, if you saw Boss Man, just corporate Boss Man, you might not think of him as a super heavyweight.
I didn't.
If you think he was as big as One Man Gang Akeem.
Oh yeah.
In that tag, I mean he's a huge dude. He was another guy they brought in to fight Hogan and do the whole thing. But that's another guy. One Man Gang was fantastic. He's a great worker. One of my favorite matches with him was he was in the WrestleMania 4 World Title Tournament with Randy Savage. They had a fun match. It's not great by any stretch. That whole tournament's kind of crappy, but it was a fun match out of that.
Yeah, two guys. I'm gonna say the both of them just to be quick, but they were so gonna be on this list, but I thought better of it because of my list, of course. But the two guys I'm gonna say is Mark Henry and Matt Bloom, aka A-Train.
Oh yeah, dude! I just met A-Train the other day, and I totally didn't even think of him for this list, and now I'm pissed because he is fantastic.
Yeah, dude. A-Train in the A-Train days was just some of the best thing I've ever seen from a heavyweight.
Oh, for sure. He's right up there with Bam Bam as far as work rate in the ring for a big. I mean,
that goes a long way. He's training the boys now.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, and he's a good dude, so that's helpful.
Yeah,
I'm glad you. One of the guys you mentioned, Gorilla Monsoon, that was great. Sid was on my list because he was more of the monster big guy, and he was right there on the fringe because I didn't know if he was going to get on there, but. Really kind of a crappy worker.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And everything about him I chalk up to just my youth, because when I was a kid and he was feuding with Shawn Michaels, how dare he beat up Shawn Michaels?
Yes.
So if I'm going based off that, once I got smartened up and I started wrestling, I stopped watching him so much. But
promos, bro.
Oh yeah. I mean,
at least they're fun.
They are fun. I have half the brain that you do.
Just a couple other guys on my list. Viscera / King Mabel. He was on my list and that was right in my wheelhouse. He had a nice title run. He won the King of the Ring. He had a good run, and he was another guy who was really agile and pretty good for his size. And then the Samoans, like the Wild Samoans, Afa and Sika, and Umaga were kind of there. But anyone in that group, and that's. Yokozuna and Rikishi are also in that group. All of those guys are built the same way. They're all big heavyweights. But they're all so agile and athletic and fantastic to watch and entertaining on top of everything. So now, that's fantastic.
My little equality portion of my of our little discussion, because I know this is top big men, but I couldn't feel right without mentioning this person's name. But Bull Nakano.
Yes. No, she counts because
I'm counting her because I almost want to put her in the top 10 just to have a big old swerve. But watching her work, she works like a big man. Like
oh yeah, for sure.
Her presence, everything is laid in, everything is well sold. If you don't know this person, go watch her wrestle. It's like she wrestles better than most big men.
Oh, for sure. One other person I just wanted to mention, and he hasn't got the play yet, but I was really starting to like his work, was Brodus Clay. And I really hope he gets a run and they don't just give him a shitty gimmick because he can work. He's pretty damn good, and I'm hoping he gets a shot. But I think that just about wraps up our discussion this week. Oh, you got any more?
I'm gonna give you one more.
Go ahead.
And I almost put him as number 10 just because we haven't seen much of him at all. But be on the lookout for this guy.
You got the pun in.
Kadunch. So I've been watching every week on Raw, and this heavyweight is gonna be something special. We haven't even scratched the surface on this dude yet. But this Braun Strowman guy, every week. He just makes my jaw drop. I never seen a guy move this fast for that size.
That's funny because my initial impressions of him is that he's awful.
Me too. Me too. When he first came in,
I'm glad I wasn't missing the ball on that.
Yeah, no. When he first came in, I was like, oh great, another one. But no. The shit he's been doing with Sami Zayn, he cuts a good promo. He's believable. He's scary, and what they have Mick Foley doing with him now is putting him over so hard.
Well, I mean, the guys that were there before, was it Rowan and not being
Harper.
and Harper. Those
Yeah.
guys are good too. They're really good for
Harper's
giant
good.
guys.
Harper's good.
I like Eric Rowan.
You do?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do. Anybody that's doing dives at that size,
That's
I'm all-
Harper.
well, I've seen them both do it. So,
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I like Rowan. He's not. I mean, neither of them are really great.
'Cause I think they
but
can do it.
Harper is definitely the better. of
Harper's
the
the
two.
indie guy. That's
Yeah,
why.
But they're both pretty decent and better than maybe they should be. So I think that just about wraps up our conversation for this week.
and Ron Kilburn, of course.
And for my buddy, right before we go, Violet, really quickly, you wanted to say something. Go ahead now. Go.
Exactly, yes. Merry Christmas to all who is listening, including Jeff. My dad and Ron are awesome, and so is Jeff.
Oh, thank you. And you're an awesome kid, Violet. So for Cole Dawson, Jeff Maverick listening, thanks for the call in. And my co-host this week, Ron Kilborn, thanks for listening. Join us next week. And we'll talk apparently about our favorite wrestling matches of all time. Another top 10 list because we know you love them. Thank you for listening to Heel Talk Radio on KaoticRadio.com.
Thanks for having me.